Coulter, of course, the great columnist, best-selling author. Now, you know her latest book is called Resistance is Futile. Big #1 bestseller. You should get that. Hey, also, Adios America. That's a previous book, but it's the best book on this border crisis. And of course, you go to AnnCoulter.com. You can get her column. Follow Ann Coulter on Twitter. Ann Coulter, how you doing?
Fine, thanks. How are you, Mark Simone?
Uh-oh, very good. I'm afraid to ask, but what do you think about the shutdown, the president's compromise? I'll stand back.
I don't mind the shutdown. Wasn't wild about the compromise, but I think he should start building the wall now, Mark.
Well, he is looking at taking the money out of the defense budget or something like that to see if he can do that.
Yes, of course he can do that. And that's what I think he should do now. I think he set the stage. I will skip attacking him for the insane compromise. And
you will?
I should say, no, I'm not going to. I changed my mind. I will not be vicious about it, but I will explain why it's a bad deal, and why it was a very, very, very stupid thing to do, the worst possible thing he can do. There's no point to building the wall if you grant anyone any sort of amnesty, as we have seen for the past 30 years. The merest temporary amnesty. We still have Haitians here from an earthquake 18 years ago. That was a temporary amnesty. Oh my gosh, you just had an earthquake. Sure, welcome. Well, you can stay here for a bit. 18 years, and they're indignant and demanding permanent amnesty. And as I have written and talked about that 1986 amnesty under Ronald Reagan, Ninth Circuit was still hearing cases 30 years later.
So, listen, the compromise, I understand what you're saying. Obviously, it was a Jared kind of a compromise. Apparently, Jared is leading negotiations with Congress.
Yeah, could you do something about that with your pal Trump?
Well,
I know. Why don't you offer Jared a job?
I'm not a Jared fan, but...
in New York, but I mean, in New York.
Well... yeah, and why is Jared even here? Shouldn't he be at Davos with those elitists going to those crazy parties they go to? Why is he even around?
I think the solution is to make Ivanka and Jared ambassadors to some fabulous European capital.
Yeah. So, but what would you do here? It looks like a total stalemate. Pelosi and Schumer will never give in. It helps with their base. So what would you do?
Well, first of all, what compromise should Trump have offered? He did kick the can down the road for two years. He did have to come up with some kind of compromise. So to get back to how you should never, ever, ever have any kind of temporary, tiny, only for these three people amnesty, offer them anything else. Offer them more funding for useless government programs like Head Start. Offer them money for actually counterproductive government programs like a higher national minimum wage. And by the way, I see all these restaurants in New York are closing because they raised the minimum wage, as anyone could tell you would happen. Yeah, it's a totally stupid idea. I'm not saying this is something Republicans would like, but that's the point. Oh, we'll have compromise. But if you're going to cut off your hand to give it to the Democrats in order to get the deal through, cut off your hand. Don't cut your heart out.
Yeah.
That's what amnesty is. There are a million things he could have traded for this. And at this point, I think he set the stage quite beautifully. Once again, the theme of resistance is futile. Every time I want to hate Trump, then I listen to his critics.
Yeah.
And I come right back. So I think, we were saved by the fact. The only reason I'm not enraged and screaming about this, I never scream, but also then the Democrats come out and say, how dare you? We won't accept this. Trump is turning himself into a pretzel. He's totally sold out his base by offering amnesty, and the Democrats say that's not good enough.
Yeah.
So thank heaven the country was saved by the obstinacy of the Democrats. Now I think he's set the stage. Not that he ever needed to. He should have done this day one. But fine. You've gone 2 years. You haven't done a thing on it. Now you're offering the Democrats, and totally selling out your constituency, and they say no. So start building it now. You're the president. This is your job.
Hey, but the real problem is the Republicans are just as bad, whether it's Ryan McConnell, or they're all totally fixed to leave that border wide open. So there's nobody supporting Trump on this in Washington.
Right, but the people did, and that's why we made him president. So now he's got to act. He can't be like every other president, and particularly every other Republican president. Every other president or presidential candidate always promises, because they know even if illegal immigrants aren't killing Kate Steinle or addicting your kids to heroin. They're driving wages down. That was the beauty of the Trump campaign. It was the people against both the Republican and the Democratic Party. It was Trump and the people. He has the people behind him. That's why we made him president. And what has driven, and a big part of what made him president was we've been betrayed so many times before, particularly by Republicans, promising one thing and then doing another thing. That's why he could do anything. That Access Hollywood tape, they could have given us 20 more. He seems to be worried about Mueller and Russia. The best thing to do about Mueller and Russia is build the wall. He'll maintain his bond with his supporters. The people are with him on this. Just start building. We made you commander-in-chief. This is your job. It's not some outrageous request. Assume dictatorial powers and issue an amnesty from the Oval Office like Obama did. No, as he knows and has said himself, he has the power to defend the borders. That is the fundamental responsibility of the President of the United States. Every day people are entering who are going to kill Americans. It's his job to stop it, and he should just do it, and he should do it now.
Hey, Ann Coulter, let me ask you about these kids, these high school kids confronted by Chief Running Crap or whatever his name is. This guy, I can already see it. He's a bad guy. He's the Native American Al Sharpton. He's a liar. He lied about his Vietnam service, lying about everything. He's not going away. He's going to be causing some trouble.
Well, at this point, the media is desperate to run away from their attempt to destroy these sweet, innocent, and really very nice Catholic high school kids. Boy, cell phone videos have been bad for the lying media. That was disgusting what they did. Oh, and I just retweeted your picture of CNN prepares this next story. That's hilarious. That is the whole story in a nutshell.
But I'm watching Lester Holt last night. He's still trying to get these kids killed. When they do their exclusive interview, she says to him, "Do you want to apologize? Do you think you did anything wrong?" Instead of show the videos, so they were the ones that got approached.
Yes, they were set upon. The original photo, and I hope everyone listening to you has followed this story. If you haven't, please get on Twitter. Everything happens on Twitter, and the truth comes out on Twitter. They show this close-up photo of a sweet, smiling kid, almost nose to nose with an Indian beating his drum. And the story the media told was that, we were having an Indigenous Peoples March, and these kids walked up to us and got right in our face and smirked at us. And for a long time, this kid is just standing there, and he just has a smile on his face. And I mean, you can call, I guess one person's smile is another person's smirk. He's mostly just smiling, I thought, kind of sweetly. Even when I first saw it, the story seemed fishy to me because the guy didn't seem to be smirking or rolling his eyes or anything. He seemed to be smiling in a friendly way, like, let's be friends. And then, of course, 18 other videos come out, much more footage of the whole thing. The Catholic kids were there first. They were there for the March for Life. That really sets the media off, besides the fact that they're, sweet, white. Oh, my gosh, they're also Catholic. Oh, and male. And they're doing high school cheers. They're 15-year-old kids. They have lots of energy. I think a lot of these journalists don't have kids, don't know what 15-year-old boys behave like. They were really sweet 15-year-old kids. And first they're set upon by these black activists, black Israelites or something, yelling absolutely horrible, vulgar, calling them crackers, telling the black kid in the group, when you grow up, they're going to eat your organs, calling him Uncle Tom, go back to Europe, cursing at them, calling them faggots, of course. And then the Indian, your Indian Al Sharpton, as you say, walks right up to this one kid. He tries to do it to a few kids, and they're all in a group. You can't really back up that much, even if you wanted to. And I'm glad he didn't back up. Why should he back up? He was there. He was standing there. He never moved. The Indian comes up and starts beating the drum inches from his face.
Yeah,
inches from his face. It's if you aren't a public figure and haven't been attacked and haven't had people do things like that to you, you don't know how aggressive and it can be kind of frightening. This is a crazy person. Media gets caught telling this total lie. They're doxing these kids, calling for them to be killed. Lots of blue check marks, as suggestively referred to journalists and on Twitter as lots of blue check marks saying vulgar, horrible, awful things about these kids. And then the videos come out. Do you know the New York Times follow-up story correcting? And this was the New York Times and the Washington Post writing these stories.
We only got about 20 seconds, but go ahead.
The New York Times correction lied as much as their original story. This is the media. This is the most pristine example of fake news.
It is horrible. Hey, Ann Coulter, I wish we had more time. Everybody get Ann Coulter's book, Resistance is Futile. This is the best book on these crazy Democrats. Hey, also get the book Adios America. No better book on the border crisis. Go to AnnCoulter.com, and you can get her columns there. Also, follow Ann Coulter on Twitter and Facebook and all of that. Ann Coulter, thanks for being with us.
Good to talk to you, Mark Simone. Bye-bye.
All right, take care.